webinar tonight. My name is Andrea Wilkins. I'm the Legislative Liaison with the League of Women Voters of Colorado. We're fortunate to be joined by our speakers tonight, Senator Sonya Jaquez, Senator Faith Winter, and Cesiah Hernandez, who will be speaking to us tonight about Senate Bill 199, removing barriers to certain public opportunities. But before I turn to our speakers, I do want to give a special thank you to JC Montoya Price with the Removing Barriers Coalition for all your help in putting this event together and really just helping to make this conversation possible tonight. So thank you very much, JC. Our first speaker is Senator Jaquez, who represents Senate District 17 in Boulder County. And she is a member of the Senate State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee and the Health and Human Services Committee. Senator Jaquez is a prime sponsor of Senate Bill 199. And with that, I will go ahead and turn it over to her. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm hoping everybody can hear me all right. It's a pleasure to, oh, there we go. Sorry, I knew something wasn't right there. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Sonya Jaquez here, the senator from Eastern Boulder County. I like to say the L towns, Lafayette, Louisville, and Longmont, and I've got the western part of Erie. Extremely honored to be able to share this bill with you. It's been a labor of love for many, many years, actually. So those of you who are probably familiar with the 2006 special session that happened in Colorado, where I believe it was 10 bills aimed at the undocumented folks in Colorado. And we are still kind of paying the price, unfortunately, on some of that legislation. And so a coalition had been gathering over many years to take a look at, could we repeal some of those bills? What could we do to fix that basically hurtful and, in my opinion, hateful legislation? I am, by way of background, I am the first Latina ever elected from Boulder County to the General Assembly. I'm also a member of the LGBTQ caucus and our newly formed women's caucus in the General Assembly. So I wear a lot of hats. I'm very, very pleased to be a part of the coalition that JC Montoya Price is a part of, and several different folks that are working on repealing some of that legislation. So we've been looking at this for years. Unfortunately, when you pass certain legislation in Colorado, bills and statutes get layered upon the different pieces. So if you just repeal a piece of legislation outright, you can also repeal something that was maybe helpful or beneficial. And so different exceptions have been built into the Colorado law. So one of the biggest struggles that we had was trying to figure out how could we craft language around repealing some of the hateful legislation and leave the good stuff. So how do we get rid of the bad stuff and leave the good stuff? And a huge shout out to Lorena Garcia and the Colorado Parent Coalition Group that she is the executive director of. Lorena put together an amazing group of attorneys and different folks that could help us figure out how to unlayer these pieces. So the bill itself, and this might be a good time for the slide, Andrea or Beth, if we can put it up. And while they're doing that, the bill is basically divided into two parts. There we go. And the first part is around House Bill 06-1009. And that bill stopped anyone who from applying for certain licenses, certifications with departments in the state of Colorado. If you are I'm a pharmacist by training. If I went to apply for a pharmacy license, I had gone to school in another country, but I'm an undocumented resident, I would be denied basically because of 10009, because state departments could not issue professional, commercial, occupational licenses. So our bill is addressing being able to, I had 2 DACA students, nursing students in my district that had finished nursing school and here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and they cannot apply for a nursing license in Colorado. And I found that to be absolutely outrageous. So we wanted to address that particular bill. And if we have time, I'll talk about other bills that are also doing similar kinds of pieces, and happy to get into that. The other part of the bill addresses 1023, and that bill, this again from the special session in 2006, that bill basically said if you do not have lawful presence, or if you have unlawful presence, you are not eligible for public benefits. And it did a blanket coverage in state statute. So if you have a county, and this actually happened to me in 2013, I was serving on the Boulder County Board of Health, and we had folks that were affected by the flooding in Boulder County. And you had one family in the Royal Trailer Park, mobile home park in Longmont. One family applied for certain types of disaster aid. They got it. A similar family right beside them, because of someone living in the trailer who was undocumented, or the person applying was undocumented, they weren't able to get some of those different aid of disaster relief from the county. I found that to be reprehensible. I was very upset about that. And so, along with the other folks that have been working on this bill for many years, we felt like we needed to do something about it. And the timing was right. We have an amazing coalition, as I mentioned, of groups, but also I have to shout out my co-prime sponsors. Senator Faith Winter has been a leader in so many of these kind of issues for women, for living wage, for paid family leave, for all of the various groups that Senator Winter has worked with. And now I'm very honored to have her join me on this bill. And then you see that we have the majority leader, Danae Escar, and the assistant majority leader, Selena Gonzalez Gutierrez. So I'm going to stop there for a second and see if Senator Winter is on with us, because I don't want to do the whole show here. But if she's not able to join us yet, I'll keep going.
It doesn't look like she's been able to join us yet, so please just keep going.
Okay, not a problem at all. So there's a couple of different things happening with this bill, and I'll go to the slide for a second. So it turns out that I'll start with the top, the occupational commercial licenses. There's a bill that's moving its way through the legislature that is addressing licenses with the Department of Regulatory Agencies. And that, yes, I agree, JC. I love the comments in the chat. And please feel free to put comments, and I will share my email too, because we're still looking for support. We are really still building support on this bill. But there's a bill now currently that would allow for occupational licensing, professional licensing with DORA. And that's fantastic. The difference between that bill, which is actually Senate Bill 77, and our bill, Senate Bill 199, is that ours would affect certifications, licenses with local municipalities. And here's the key. Our bill will allow more local control. So if a county is doing licensing of, say, food trucks, and they want to put another provision in with the county about the food truck, that's great. Our bill won't get in the way of that. But what it will do, and this is the important part, is one, it will allow someone who's undocumented to have this form of work, or it could be childcare certification for a county, food truck. Another example that we know of is agricultural certifications. We have folks that want to work with agriculture and use certain supplements, and they can't do it. So we have people that have wonderful skill sets that are not being able to work in their trade or their profession because of one bill, 1023. So, and also, sorry, 1009 too, with the licenses. So we really feel like this is going to allow people to have the employment that we need and grow, help us build back better our economy. Um, but also, let's take a look at the second part, because there are counties that are looking, trying to help people transition into other training opportunities. Maybe it is a contract for something specific. There's all kinds of programming. They can't apply for those services either. And so the portion of our bill will address allowing for folks to apply for some of these, not based on their lawful presence, is how the legal terminology is. The third bullet point of the bill is really a public support services. This is anything from a public library card. They right now, if you all of us fill out a form, I'm sure you've seen it, where you have to check off that you are a lawful resident in the state of Colorado. Think about every time you go to do a transaction for motor vehicles, a job, library card, anything having to do with a city, a county, or a state. Thousands and thousands of these transactions. That administrative burden is ridiculous. And there was a study, I love this, and if I have the link, I can share it with you. There was a study that was done in 2007, a year after these laws were put on the books, and they showed that they weren't saving Colorado any money at all. And in fact, they had added to the administrative burden of municipalities and state departments. So we argue that this is actually going to help all of us, because we're basically not requiring all this tracking of paperwork and everything that all the different departments and all the different municipalities are doing. And then last but not least, obviously, there are certain benefits that we want everyone to be able to share in. I have another bill, which I hope the sponsors of tonight's program won't mind if I mention. It's Senate Bill 9. As women and as so many of us are doing, trying to juggle work and families, we believe that having expanded reproductive rights, contraceptive care should be an integral right for every family with planning. And right now, if you are undocumented in the state of Colorado, you cannot apply for the contraceptive care that everyone else can through other health clinics and health care. And so I'm hoping that the other bill could be complementary, but we've got to do something about the language of the lawful presence. And so that's one aspect that we're taking a look at with this bill. I'll stop there. Again, I can talk about how other bills interact with this bill, and see if we have any questions so far.
Well, we would love to open it up to participant questions. Please feel free to unmute and you can ask the senator a question directly. And we would also love to hear more about the interplay of the other legislation that you mentioned as well, Senator Jaquez.
Great. JC, you are on it. I'm telling you, she's got the link up for the Denver Post article. That's great. So sure, the other bill, Senate Bill 9, and I should have brought a slide on that one, but it's a fascinating bill because right now, if you and I have private health insurance, we can ask for oral contraceptives, birth control for a year at a time if we want, if we are with a private insurer. If we're on Medicaid, so Colorado State Medicaid, you can ask for 30 days or 60 days, but you can't really get much longer than that. And what we noticed that happened, obviously, is what happened to so many people during the COVID pandemic. when folks went to get in touch with their doctor to have their checkup or to have their refill, doctors' offices weren't able to negotiate that. So we had women actually not able to get their birth control and their contraceptive care during the first few months of the pandemic. And I took a look at that, and a huge shout out to Calore and several other coalition groups who are a part, they're also a part of our Repeal '06 coalition, took a look at that and said, hey, we can fix that. If private insurance allows for a year's supply at a time, why shouldn't Medicaid? Well, then we also started looking at the women and families in Colorado who are undocumented, who also should be able to qualify. If they qualify for Medicaid, they should be able to qualify for this contraceptive care. So that is a separate bill. But obviously, if we're able to pass 199 that takes I know from being a former, for every $1 that you spend for contraceptive care, you actually save the state or the insurance payer, whoever it is, $7 from the cost of unintended pregnancies, high risk pregnancies, reactions, things can go wrong during pregnancies, hospitalizations, all of that is it. And so we all know that there's a reason why insurance companies pay for, and it's very cheap now, generics and oral contraceptives, very inexpensive. We all know why they pay for it so readily. It's because it saves money. And here we are as taxpayers not doing something that everybody else in healthcare does. So I'm hoping we can get that passed. Senate Bill 199, get that passed. We're going to really open up opportunities for so many people in Colorado.
So Senator,
Hi, Peggy.
Peggy Leach, hi. I've been confused about the interplay between all the different bills. So I think you're saying that we do need to pass Senate Bill 9 and 199, because 199 doesn't cover 9, basically.
Right.
And the DORA 177, I mean, is there any point in dealing with that? There's another one about housing, all these different things. So just trying to figure out if they all pass, is that a problem, or,
No, it's a great,
good.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Let me let you finish your, is that your question? I can.
That was basically it. It's like, should we be for all of them, or are they conflicting with each other? That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Not at all. In fact, that's the beauty of having, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this, because I know this is a bipartisan call, a nonpartisan event. But I will say it is the beauty of one caucus controlling the Senate and the House, because we can talk to each other and we can work it out. So the sponsors of Senate Bill, myself, 9, and along with, and then Senator Gonzalez, who is a sponsor of 77, and then she actually is a co-sponsor on 199, and in fact is helping us with the writing of it. I'm a co-sponsor on 77. We are trying to construct these bills so that we don't bang into each other with it. We don't overlap. Just a bit of nuance for those of you that want to tune in and listen to the committee. Tomorrow is our vote for the first vote on Senate Bill 199 at State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee tomorrow after we adjourn in the chamber. We will have an amendment that actually is going to push the date of the start of 199 back just a little bit. And what that does is it allows 77, if we can get that through, it will allow 77 to take effect with the departments. And then that gives counties and everyone else time to be ready if we can get 199 passed. So we try to put in language in each other's bills to make sure that we don't cause something conflicting. We were going to take out a line in HB 1023, and had we taken out this one little section, that would have messed up the DOLA bill, the housing bill. So we put it back in, so it's constant negotiation. I'm not an attorney, so a absolutely huge shout out to Colorado, the legal project, Allison Neswood at CCLP. They've been such a huge help. Laurel Herndon, who's an immigration attorney in Boulder, just huge help. We've had just a whole team of attorneys. I feel like I'm back at my house. My mom used to be an immigration attorney, and I feel like I'm back at home because I hear all this lingo going on again, and I'm like, I'm loving it. My mother is still alive, but unfortunately she doesn't have she suffers from a form of dementia, and she can't do the legal stuff anymore. But it's been really interesting to talk about some of this with her, and it comes back to her. So it's been fun to work with the attorneys. They're just all so brilliant, and it's an honor to work with this team.
That's great. Wow, wonderful answer. Thanks for helping me out on that. Thanks.
Great.
Yes, that really is a great discussion, and it just sort of illustrates how all the puzzle pieces need to come together to, get us to the place that we want to be with all this. So that's really helpful to our understanding of how that all works together. Are there other questions for the senator? Please jump in.
Nancy Ulrich, Denver.
Hey, Nancy.
Hey, guys. Hey, great presentation. Fabulous. I'm in district either 5 or 6, Lois Court's old district.
Oh, so that's Senator Hansen, I believe.
Yeah. Let us know, even though the vote's tomorrow, that Veterans and Military Affairs has been called the Drop Dead Committee for years. And
I'm glad you didn't, Nancy, I'm glad you didn't use the term. I don't like this term, the kill committee. I've never liked that term. I try to reduce my words around fighting and kill and target and aim. I can't always do it, but you're right. It has that perception, that notoriety, but guess what? I'm on that committee, and Senator Gonzalez is on that committee. And we have the most fantastic Senator James Coleman on that committee. And we're all, working and, through this. And I believe that we are addressing a lot of the issues that we've been facing, trying to make sure we don't have bills bump into each other. So I feel good about it, but you should certainly, if you want to reach out and send committee communications, we will always have that. And I would love it if you want to send Senator Hansen an email or a phone call for when it comes, if we can get through committee, when it comes to the floor. Absolutely. I'll tell everyone, please do that. That's important.
it's very important. Do you have a date, a possible date for it coming to the floor?
No, that's a great question. So if we make it through tomorrow, there is a very small fiscal note, in my opinion, small. It may not sound small to you. I think it's 178,000. I am seeing bills out there with 20 million, 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. So, what we need to set this up is really turning off of switches in departments costs money. That's really what that is doing. And so the next place we go is the Appropriations Committee, and that could be anywhere from the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then if we can get through the Appropriations Committee, which I feel confident about, then we get to the floor. And then it becomes really important for everyone to contact their senator so we can keep this moving.
Well, so my comment is, please make sure that State League and the Legislative Action Committee keeps us informed. These are very, very important bills, and I commend you. And Faith Winter has been a favorite of mine for years, even though she's not my senator. Thank you.
I think
Thank you.
Faith Winter is everyone's favorite. I'm telling you. When she told me she was going to join me on this bill, I can't even tell you what that feeling is like, because Faith is so full of integrity and just so fantastic to work with. She's an excellent communicator. We are elected, and so I guess we're elected officials, but there is politics that goes on. When you're working with Faith Winter, you're working with someone who is really, what she does and what she says is it. And I love that. I'm a pharmacist by training. I'm not used to some of the stuff that goes on, but I'm a hard worker, and we just chip away, and I find good partners to work with, and I think that's important.
Yes, and I thank you for being a great senator. I'm very proud to hear your speech.
Thank you.
Well, and I would like to second that. This has all been fabulous information. This is just such a useful discussion about the components of this bill. I know it's ambitious and there are a lot of factors in it, but this is really helpful to our understanding. Our Legislative Action Committee and Peggy Leach are following this closely, and we will continue to do so as it moves through the process. But we really appreciate your discussion around this tonight. And if there are other questions, please jump in, or you can also put them in the chat as well.
Great.
But
I'm gonna stay on, for the program. So I'm happy if something comes up, I'll try to put it in the chat.
That would be fantastic, and we are thrilled to have you continue to join us. And I think with that, we'll go ahead and shift to our next presenter, who is Cesiah Hernandez. Cesiah graduated from the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition's PASO program, which stands for Providers Advancing School Outcomes. And she's currently working to become a Child Development Associate. Ms. Hernandez has been providing childcare since she was a teenager, and she currently works with kids ages 0 to 4. Cesiah is married with 3 kids of her own, ages 14, 10, and 7. And she was born in Mexico City and came to the United States when she was 10 years old. Cesiah will be speaking to us tonight about her experience as an impacted community member, and she'll share her perspectives on Senate Bill 199. And with that, I will turn it over to Cesiah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. I wasn't aware that I was going to be joining a bunch of just very smart people. I just wasn't aware of that. So I have written down what I was going to say, because I didn't want to miss anything. So if that's okay, I'll start with that, and then I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards that you guys might have for me, if that's okay.
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. So like you said, my name is Cesiah Hernandez. I am 32 years old. I was born in Mexico City, and I came to the United States when I was 10 years old. And like you said, I have been doing childcare since I was a teenager, and I'm currently providing childcare for kids ages 0 to 5. I graduated from PASO last year, and I am in the process of becoming a Child Development Associate. At the moment, I'm taking a program that specializes in early childhood mental health. I grew up in the Hispanic community. As I was growing up, I saw their families and personally lived with many needs, not only economic, but mentally. When I was a teenager, my dream was one day to become a social worker or a psychologist. These dreams will stay like that, as dreams due to my legal status. I was faced with many challenges. Regardless of the challenges I have faced, I keep preparing myself, and as a child care provider, my goal is to give all children quality care, regardless of their status or financial availability. All children must have access to quality care. I believe that if you're community had more resources and support, many problems we have in society today could get fixed. When I look at the children under my care, I not only look at the children playing, I look at the children learning by playing. In my mind, I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at doctors, that are future doctor, teacher, psychologists. At times, my learning center is the safe place, the place where these kids have stability. At the moment, even though I am prepared to reach out to more children and families, I still have many challenges to overcome. I would have to charge these families enough money to be able to provide food, supplies, and of course, income for my family. Some of these families can afford to pay for childcare. And this is what breaks my heart, even though I am qualified for the job. I don't get to have the same rights as or the same rights of licensing as a resident or a citizen have because of my status. Not only this affects me, but as you can see, it affects us all, not only as a community, but as a human being. It is our responsibility to look after our children. After all, they are the future. Like me, I know many people. I have heard many stories, and all we ask is equality. The change starts with one caring, and I care, and I'm grateful to all of you that care. And let's try to see if we can pass SB199. Yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you so much for those remarks, Cesiah. It's really inspiring to hear you talk about your experiences, and we really appreciate you sharing those perspectives. Again, please, any questions, feel free to just go ahead and unmute, and we'll make this very conversational. But any questions for Cesiah, or if additional thoughts have come up for Senator Jaquez Lewis, please chime in.
Well, I'd sure like to thank Cesiah. This is the whole reason that we need to be doing this. So many people are impacted by this, and it is our whole community. And I really appreciate you speaking out. I'm wondering if you're going to testify tomorrow, or that might be a little scary, but if you could testify in the committee meeting tomorrow. Anyway, it's always good to hear an actual story by somebody who's impacted by the situation. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I am not sure about testifying tomorrow. They asked me to to talk about it today, and I had only talked one time before with a reporter that made me an interview before. But I'm happy, to do, like I said, I care about this bill personally, because it hits, it hits me personally and a lot of people around me, especially like when I think about me, I think about the people who did this program with me, PASO. They completed the program, and although maybe one or two, are their legal status will let them do all those amazing things for kids, there's still like 12 people that can't because of her status. So it just doesn't make any sense to me, that we're kind of stuck there. We stay stuck, because we started doing this mental health program now. I see like maybe 4 of the people I went to like PASO with, and they're also preparing themselves, even though our legal status still hasn't changed. We still want to do something for the small amount of people that we're allowed to work with. Right now, I am only allowed to work with 2 or 3 kids at my home, where I can possibly be working with 12 kids at my home. I will be reaching out to 12 families, 12 families that would actually get this quality care only if I was allowed to be a licensed, a licensed business at my home with, and I wouldn't have to care if they, they can afford or not, because then it would be a child care. They would get the help they can to pay me, like it's just, it's horrible right now because I need to provide for my family. I can't do it myself saying, no, don't pay me or I'll take care of it. I couldn't do it because it's, it would be too much for me, even though I have it in my heart to do it. It's just impossible at the moment for me,
Yeah.
But
Cesiah, this
yes,
is Senator Sonya. Your story is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do that bill, because we have just a ridiculous shortage of childcare, especially bilingual childcare. I think there's a statistic out there that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 families are wanting bilingual childcare, especially, with pandemic and coming out. And here you are, you could meet the needs of, so many. I passed a bill with Representative Mary Young that allowed us to at least expand to four unrelated children over the age of 2 that are unrelated in one location, but that we could do so much more, because you could hire other folks to work
yes,
with you,
correct.
and you could offer programs to those kids. It would just be so much better. So I wish that you could testify tomorrow. Here's the problem: we had to close testimony. So for tomorrow, we're going to discuss the amendments and then we're going to have the vote. So I wouldn't be able to have you testify tomorrow, but if we can make it over to the House, and we would love to have your written testimony or to have you testify. So maybe we can, I put my email in the chat. Maybe we can stay in touch. Because if we can get that far, we would love to have at least your written testimony. So thank you so much for being so brave and telling us your story.
Of course, thank you guys so much. I'm sorry, I get emotional because it's just, like it's, people don't see that way,
Right.
like the people who are deciding this stuff, they don't see the real need out there.
Yeah. It's changing. It's changing.
Cesiah, you're well to be emotional about this.
Yep.
The care of young children is essential. What county are you in? What county are you in?
I'm Arapahoe
Okay.
County. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There's a national organization called the Early Childhood Education Association. And I'm sure you've heard of it, but if you haven't, you need to reach out to them. I was on a daycare board for many years. And the other thing I want to encourage you to do, if you can possibly do it, is to get the community behind you. Have the community sponsor a child so that you can have a baseline payment, but whatever else is needed, perhaps some of the churches in your county would pay the difference. And that would make a huge impact for you financially.
And you know what, like the at the moment, so I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about what's happening right now. Like, since I couldn't afford to, have kids at my home at the moment. I'm doing the childcare at the people's homes where they pay me per hour. So at the moment, I do that. I go to people's homes and I provide the service, to people that pay me per hour. But yeah, like from the people that I went to do the PASO program that we graduated, these people are all over the place. They're in Aurora, Denver. If I could take over here in Arapahoe, or if I can provide the childcare for 12 families here, someone in Aurora, somebody in Denver, people like that, just it would be just so great. But these people also need to have a good income, coming in. They can't just do that like me, so and earlier when Senator Sonya was talking about DACA, you know, people say, well, you guys already have DACA. Well, some of us do. And like you mentioned, due to the pandemic, at the moment, our DACA is stopped. Like our DACA is not. I still don't have my DACA. And I renew it like 5 months ago. So it's just like, it's stopping, you know, that's just crazy. That's just crazy that even if I would have applied for the license and, you know, then what do I do? Like, do I stop it because I'm not legally, you know, I'm not legally allowed to have it because my DACA is stopped, it's not current. So it's just, you know, it's, I know like me, there's many stories. I know like me, there is people who they're not bilingual, you know, that have stories similar to mine. And I'm not sure if somebody else is reaching, you know, for their testimonies, or if somebody would be, you know, translating, but I'm not sure about that. But yeah, that's just kind of it. I know I have opportunities like getting my DACA, you know, soon, and I have that hope, but I know there's a lot of people that don't.
Let's hope that the federal government will see the light and start to put more money behind early childhood care. And thank you, Cesiah. Keep going, girl. You're an inspiration. Okay.
Thank you for our kids. You know, I love, like, our children are my main concern here. And after you get the knowledge of how much our kids are missing out on quality care, like, you realize, like, yeah, I have families who are paying me $20 an hour to go to their home and provide this care. Our community cannot afford this. Like, they couldn't, like, you know, like, it's just, and I couldn't leave out of $10 a day, you know, having kids at my home. I couldn't do that. What makes those kids different? Why are they not getting that quality care? You know, that it was just eye-opener when I took this class. You know, it was just eye-opening. It's why our kids, not every kid in the United States, in the world, getting quality care that they deserve. You know, like, it's just, that's the reason I am here, for all of our kids. And yeah, thank you so much to all of you who are, you know, caring enough, you know, to talk about this. And even though, if, you know, whatever happens, we know that we're already raising awareness and eye-opening to people, the real people like us, you know, that are dealing with these problems. And we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cesiah. That was just a lot of fantastic information and really valuable insight into, you know, the practical ways that all of this plays out, and, you know, these barriers that we need to address. So such valuable insight that you've shared with us. We really appreciate you being here. And I see that we're joined by Senator Winter. I would like
Yes.
to.
I am so very sorry. I was at the Capitol and I did not want to join late, but that's what happened. But I really value all of you, and just know that I value you and your time, and I'm sorry to be joining late.
It is no problem at all. We really appreciate you all carving time out of your busy schedules to join us this evening. And we know that, you know, the legislative session has a schedule of its own, and sometimes we just have to go with it.
It's true. You are no longer in charge of your schedule anymore.
Well, I will do a quick introduction, and we can spend the last few minutes hearing from Senator Winter. By way of formal introduction, I just want to mention that Senator Winter represents Senate District 24 in Adams County, and she is the chair of the Senate Transportation and Energy Committee, and she's also a member of the Senate Finance Committee. Of course, she is the other prime sponsor of Senate Bill 199 in the Senate. So without further ado, I will turn it over to Senator Winter.
Thank you. And I am sure that my other sponsor, Senator Sonya Jaquez did a fantastic job of introducing the bill, talking about the bill, answering questions on the bill. I just want to say that I'm so excited to be brought in and be part of the team on 199, because this is about recognizing members being full participants in our community, right? And so this past year, I passed a lot of bills to help small businesses during COVID relief, and undocumented folks couldn't access that money. I just passed a bill that helps renewable energy businesses get off the ground and is a catalyst. And so there's some impacts we don't even think of that we're working on, right? And so I work very tirelessly every day to make sure we are building strong and resilient communities, from climate justice and racial justice, and making sure women are respected in the workforce. And so much of that is done in a way that undocumented workers and undocumented folks can't access. And I want to embrace everyone and recognize that they're full members of the economy, they're full members of our community, they're full members of the fabric of our society, and that this law needs to be repealed in order to make sure that we move forward as community together. And that's why I'm on this bill. It's why I am very honored to be working with Senator Sonya Jaquez and Danae Escar and Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez, and with you all, because when we do policy change, when we do politics, when we pass bills, we are only as strong as the team we bring. This is not something that I could do by myself. It's not something that Senator Jaquez could do by herself. And we only get big things accomplished when we come together. And so thank you for your time and your effort and your input and having me tonight.
Well, thank you for those remarks. We really appreciate the global view that you're giving us, and the energizing the words about coming together to accomplish more together than we can alone. It's definitely a good reminder, and certainly part of the reason that we're all here to discuss this important issue this evening. With our last few minutes, I just want to open it up to our participants and see if there are questions for Senator Winter or Senator Jaquez-Lewis, Cesiah. Any comments that you all would like to share, please jump in.
I'd like to say something. I didn't realize when I was doing my intro that Laurel Herndon was on the call. Oh my gosh. I mean, we couldn't do this bill without your input and you working with Allison and just all the folks. So Laurel, I came out of the first time I met with you and Lorena on one of the work groups and we were doing the amendments. I was like, I got to meet this woman. So we have to meet each other, and I got to give you a big hug because you just have brought so much of your knowledge to this. And, I was talking with a colleague that is an attorney, and they said, well, what attorneys have you been working with on this bill? And I said, well, Laurel Herndon. And he was like, I know Laurel and she knows her stuff. So, I mean, we're just so lucky to have the team, as Senator Winter said, that we have been able to put together for this. It's really going to take all of us for sure.
Well, that's true. And I'd like to ask you a question. This may be an unfair question, but I think it's an important question. Of all these bills that are kind of, dabbling around this issue, is there any other bill that would let the state of Colorado use COVID money, include undocumented immigrants in COVID money that is state and public benefits? I don't think any other bill touches this, which is one of the reasons I think that passing 199 is so important.
Yeah, it's interesting, as I talked about in the beginning, people have been slipping in exceptions, they'll to some of the funding bills, right? We were able to do some things with, as Faith talked about, small businesses and other pieces, but it was only because it was temporary and tied to COVID. So anything long-term, I'm not sure I know of it. Faith, am I missing anything? I mean,
I'm assuming you talked about 77, which is about licensing, and we talked about the reproductive rights bill.
Yeah.
Right. So, those bills are significant steps forward too, but it's a different type of support, and really we need to pass all the bills.
Right. Right. You know, it's and I'll just spend a moment more since I know that Laurel's knows this bill really well also is what scares me if we don't pass this bill is we have a patchwork of counties that want to do so much more with our entire community, and they can't. And they, because they're hesitant because one, they can get sued. I mean, we see the lawsuit that was brought with the minority business bill, right? The Republican-based attorney group went after that bill. Then there's this whole middle ground of counties that maybe want to do a little bit here, but they don't want to do it over here. And so they're kind of in the middle and they want to dabble at it and do it. They're afraid. Then, of course, we know, and I'm going to say it anyway, I know we're in a public group, but then there's counties like Weld County that don't want to do anything, right? But yet they have to do some, right? They have to do some things on disaster emergency and emergency health care, but they really don't want to do anything else. Well, who's to say that if we don't pass this bill, that there could be groups coming forward in these counties to really try to have encompassing services? Who's to say? And this one bill, if we don't get this passed, it's stopping all the movement across the board. And that's why this is so important, is we want to give every municipality the chance to do what they want to do.
So Senator, are you getting a lot of pushback on this bill, or does it seem like it's going to be tough to pass? Or
no, I haven't.
Great. All right.
I've gotten one email in my district, one email against this bill. I'm not sure if Senator Winter has gotten anything. It's trying to get all of us together in our caucus to get this done, and then trying to see if we can build some bipartisan support. And I think we're going to get there. I really do. I think that when folks really understand what this bill does, and they see that the jobs that it'll create and allowing people to have their full potential of what they can do, I think we're going to get there.
Great.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the fact that we had a committee hearing with not a single person in opposition is very telling. It's incredibly telling. We can do very, very small bills about a small change in property tax and you have opposition show up, right? And so the fact that we only had proponents and no opponents in committee shows how the momentum that this bill and this coalition has created.
Well, that is really exciting to hear. Very encouraging, and we're glad things are moving ahead. I do see, JC, the comment that you had posted about endorsements. That's definitely something that our Legislative Action Committee can take up. So thank you for making us aware of that. And I think well, I believe we are out of time this evening. And so I want to respect everybody's schedules and let you all get back to your evening. But I just want to close by thanking you all for joining us. Special thanks to our speakers for sharing this really valuable information. And we just really appreciate you all being here and look forward to more work on this issue. So thank you all and enjoy your night.
Great to see you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.